Oh, we're going to call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the, oh Lord, I'm breaking the laws here.
Recording in progress.
Regular meeting of the Bellflower City Council. It's Monday, September 13th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Before we begin, please note that all public meetings will be recorded. When a participant logs in via their computer or calls in to join the meeting, their name and/or phone number will be visible to all participants. Unless you are providing public comment, your audio will be muted and your video will be disabled. Persons wishing to be audience members to the meeting may do so anonymously. Anonymous participants, however, will not be recognized for public comment. Persons who seek to bypass the city's host controls will be dropped and blocked from the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Santinas,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dutton,
Here.
Councilmember Hamada,
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Here.
Mayor Coops.
Here. Mr. Stewart, announce the closed session items.
Two items for consideration tonight. The first is the public employee performance evaluation entitled City Manager. The second is a discussion on threat to public services or facilities in tonight's closed session meeting.
All right, any recusals, conflicts? Does anyone have any conflicts on this evening's closed session items? Seeing none. I'd like public comments. If you'd like to speak, please use the raised hand feature. If by computer, it appears under the participants tab. If by phone app, it will appear under the more button at the bottom of your right-hand corner. Or if by telephone, press star 9 to raise your hand or star 6 to unmute. You will be called upon in the order received. You can then unmute your microphone so you can provide your comments. Do we have any comments at this time?
Mayor, I'll give the public a moment to utilize the feature. Mayor, I'm not seeing any raised hands at this time.
Thank you. We will now recess to closed session. Public participation is not allowed during closed session. The virtual meeting will remain open during the pendency of the closed session. Upon concluding, we will resume the open session and announce any reportable actions from closed session. We'll retire to closed session. This is the regular meeting of the Bellflower City Council. It's Monday, September 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the evening. From the closed session, there are no reportable actions. Before we begin, please note that all public meetings will be recorded. When a participant logs in via the computer or calls in to join the meeting, their name and/or phone number will be visible to all participants. Unless you're providing public comment, your audio will be muted and your video will be disabled. Persons wishing to be audience members to the meeting may do so anonymously. Anonymous participants, however, will not be recognized for public comment. Persons who seek to bypass the city's host controls will be dropped and blocked from the meeting. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Santinas,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dutton,
Here.
Councilmember Hamada,
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Here.
Mayor Coops.
Here. This evening, the invocation will be offered by Councilmember Sunday Sanyanez, and followed immediately by the Pledge of Allegiance provided by P.J. Balam, Director of Parks and Recreation. Please stand with me.
Let's all bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of life, the gift of community called the City of Bellflower. We thank you for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for giving us dedicated staff. We thank you for giving us our wonderful residents. As we commemorated the 20th anniversary of 9/11 over the weekend, we are reminded of those who perished, those who are injured. Please comfort their families and provide the healing to those who have been injured. We're also reminded of the courage and sacrifice of our first responders, our police personnel, paramedics, and especially fire personnel. Please continue to give them the healing and also keep them safe so that they can keep us safe. We thank you for giving us the members of our military, and we thank them for the sacrifice. Please watch over them as they watch over us. As we deliberate the matters before us tonight, please guide us, enlighten us, and give us the wisdom to decide what is best for our city. We ask this in His name, your Son. Amen.
Please place your right hand over your heart and join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Milana and Mr. Santinez, for your commitment to our city and for leading us in that. Council announcements. I'm going to start off, instead of me going first, we're going to, Mayor Pro Tem's going to go, Francis Ray Dutton.
Oh, gosh.
There you go.
I'm special. There is a California gubernatorial recall election taking place tomorrow, September 24th, in Los Angeles County. This election is being handled by the Los Angeles County Register's Recorder's Office. The nearest vote center located in Bellflower is the Sims Park Auditorium, which is open for all LA County voters beginning Saturday, September 4th, and is available for voting through 8 p.m. tomorrow night. The City Hall is not the place to have the vote center for this election, so don't come to City Hall, go to Sims Park. For more vote center locations, if Sims Park isn't adequate for you or too far away, you can get more information about this election. Please visit the county's website at www.la.vote.net. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Dutton. Councilmember Sonny Santinez.
Thank you, Mayor. The Bellflower Chamber of Commerce invites businesses, service clubs, and the community to join their monthly morning mingle, which will take place on September 28 from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. For more information, please call the Bellflower Chamber of Commerce at 562-867-1744. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Raymond Hamada.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Bellflower. Bellflower is currently undergoing our redistricting process. The redistricting process occurs every 10 years following the release of the census results. It is an opportunity to redraw district lines based on population changes indicated in the census at the state, county, and city levels. We would like to hear from our residents. The residents can submit maps of their own and get involved in the process. In order for to draft maps to be considered at the October 11th public hearing, they will need to be submitted by October 1st. Maps received after October 1st may be considered at a subsequent hearing date. For more information, you can visit our redistricting website at www.drawbellflower.org. To email redistricting@bellflower.org or contact the city clerk's office at 562-804-1424, extension 2222. Mr. Mayor, I have a second announcement.
Go right ahead.
This is in regards to the passing of Betty Carnett. Let's see, Betty Carnett.
You want to do that when we adjourn the meeting at the end?
You want to do it just before?
Yes.
I'll do it then.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
thank
give
you.
you a chance to, and we'll adjourn in her memory, but we'll let you do the biography.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Councilmember Victor Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Bellflower. The state of California's COVID-19 rent relief program is still available for California renters and their landlords who have been impacted by COVID-19. The program covers 100% of rental and utility arrears payments, and prospective rent to qualified households. For more information, please visit the state's website, housingiskey.com, or call the Housing is Key COVID-19 assistance line at 1-833-422-4255. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. The 23rd Annual Bellflower Car Show will be taking place on Saturday, September 25th, 2021, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Come enjoy a great afternoon of family fun and see over 200 classic cars and trucks. There'll be great food from local restaurants, food trucks, and live music. Entry is free and it's open to the public. For more information, please visit the Bellflower Car Show event website, which you can find at www.bellflower.car/car-show.com. Tonight we are going to make two presentations, and this is to commemorate the first item, which is the National Hispanic Heritage Month. So, in 1968, Congress created the Hispanic Heritage Week, and in 1988, they extended it to a month-long observance, and it runs from September 15th to October 15th of each year. Since the 16th century, the Hispanic influence in the American Southwest has been evident in our language, celebrations, architecture, agriculture, and art. Hispanic Heritage Month demonstrates the unity and diversity of Hispanics from around the world who celebrate their colorful and distinct culture, which includes people with roots in Latin America, countries throughout North, Central, and South America. Bellflower residents are encouraged to make Hispanic Heritage Month a time of rededication to the principles of unity, respect, and trust for the betterment of our community. Therefore, I, Dan Coops, Mayor of the City of Bellflower, do hereby proclaim September 15th to October 15th, 2021 as Hispanic Heritage Month. Proclamation is signed by Mayor Dan Coops, Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton, Councilmember Raymond Hamada, Councilmember Victor Sanchez, and Councilmember Sunny Sanyanez. Also, proclamation for National Hunger Action Month. Addressing the food insecurity of children, youth, men, women, seniors, active military, and veterans today is fundamental to the future of the City of Bellflower. Food insecurities and lack of access to healthy foods contribute to the development of various nutritional illnesses, and children facing hunger are more likely to experience developmental delay and need to repeat school years, and even experience more social and behavioral problems. The Bellflower City Council desires to build a future where no child goes hungry and where all Americans have access to healthy, affordable, fresh food, locally made and sustainably produced. Therefore, I, Dan Coops, the Mayor of the City of Bellflower, do hereby proclaim September as National Hunger Action Month. The City of Bellflower encourages all residents to increase their understanding and awareness of food insecurity and how it impacts our nation, our state, our county, and our communities. This proclamation is signed by Mayor Dan Coops, Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton, Councilmember Raymond Hamada, Councilmember Victor Sanchez, and Councilmember Sunny Sanyanez. So those are two important proclamations that are occurring this month, and we're proud to present these people these proclamations. As we go forward, we will now do public comments. Mr. Stewart.
This is the time set aside for the public to address the city council on matters not listed on the agenda. Those wishing to speak on an agenda item must utilize one of the methods listed on page 2 of the agenda. You will be given 3 minutes to address the city council. Attempts to provide comment or at times not designated on the agenda may result in the city dropping you from the meeting.
If you'd like to speak, please use the raised hand feature. If by computer, it appears under the Participants tab. If by phone app, it will appear under the More button at the bottom right-hand corner. Or if by telephone, press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute. You will be called upon in the order received. You can then unmute your microphone so that you can provide your comments. So, Madam City Clerk, have we anyone that would like to participate in public comments?
Mayor, I'll give the public a moment to utilize the feature.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm not seeing any raised hands at this time.
Thank you very much. 11A, Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration of possible action to conduct a public hearing to receive comments on the fiscal year 2021 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, or CAPER, and adopt Resolution 21-52, a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit the fiscal year 2020 and 2021 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. And this item was continued from the last meeting, August 23rd. And I believe Mr. Del Longa is going to introduce somebody to make the staff report for us.
All right.
That is correct. Thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mr.
sorry.
DeLonge. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'm going to introduce Agnesa Ananikian to present the report. She is from our housing consultant, Avant Garde.
Thank you so much for that. Let me just take a moment to share my screen. Thank you so much for that presentation, for that introduction. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council. The city is conducting a public hearing to review and receive public comment on the fiscal year 2020-2021 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, also known as the CAPER. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development requires that the city annually submit a CAPER, which summarizes the activities and expenditures supported through the use of Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership funds. CDBG funds, in particular, are meant to improve living environments and promote economic development through job creation and services. The funds must assist low-income persons, particularly in blighted areas. Last year, HUD allocated approximately $914,716 in CDBG funds towards such activities. These activities include the Fair Housing Foundation, which provided their services to 140 Bellflower households; Kingdom Causes Good Soils Program, which employed 12 residents; the Volunteer Center, which added a total of 22 new adult and student volunteers that served over 712 hours last year, which benefited over 1,300 persons. CDBG also partially funds the city's code enforcement activities, specifically in CDBG eligible tracts. Last year, there were 593 code enforcement cases in these tracts. Also, a majority of CDBG funds are used for Section 108 loan repayment. The loan was a 20-year, $7 million loan taken out in the year 2004 to rebuild blighted areas and promote economic development in the downtown area. The city is obligated to make annual payments using CDBG funds throughout the year 2024. The city also uses CDBG funds to pay for program administration and planning costs to ensure HUD regulations are met. And lastly, the city allocated CDBG funds for a small business assistance program, which did assist 10 businesses this last fiscal year. In all, approximately $1,019,452 of CDBG funds were expended last fiscal year. In addition to CDBG funds, the city also received supplemental CDBG CV coronavirus funds to prepare, prevent, and respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Bellflower received 2 rounds of CV funding totaling $1,188,480. The city funded an emergency rental relief program, which has assisted 51 Bellflower residents thus far. The city has also allocated CV funds to a food insecurity program, a new small business startup program, homeless shelter meals program, which will provide meals out of the New Hope temporary shelter, a youth family senior services program, and a business grant program. These additional programs are currently in process of starting up. CV funds are expected to be fully exhausted by the year 2022. The city is also using CDBG funds, CDBG CV, funds to pay for program administration. Thus far, the city has expended $237,116. On a different note, the city also receives home funds from HUD. Home is meant to retain and increase affordable housing stock for renters and owners in the city of Bellflower. Last fiscal year, the city received approximately $368,539 in home funds. The home funds are allocated towards certain housing programs throughout the city. One being the first being the Housing Rehabilitation Program. A total of 4 rehabilitation projects were completed last fiscal year, with an additional 3 currently in progress. Home funds are also used for planning and administrative costs. Lastly, under the home regulations, at least 15% of home funds must be set aside for a project led by a community housing development organization, also known as a CHODO. The CHODO line item has been carried over to the next fiscal year in order to build up the CHODO project fund to make a meaningful contribution to an affordable housing project. CHODO funds must be committed to an activity by year 2025. In total, approximately $112,025 was spent from the home funds last fiscal year. These are the primary accomplishments of the city's CDBG, CDBG CV, and home programs this past fiscal year. The CAPER has been available on the city's website from August 9th through today, and the public notice was duly published in the Wave newspaper. Following HUD's review and approval, the CAPER will be finalized and posted on the city's website. Our recommendation tonight is to open the public hearing, take testimonial and documentary evidence, and after considering the evidence, adopt resolution number 21-52, or alternatively, discuss and take other actions related to this item. That completes my presentation, and we are available for any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Any members of the council like to pose a question? Mr. Dutton, nothing. Mr. Hamada, have any questions
Maybe just again.
or comment?
Yeah. Well, first off, again, I want to again. Well, let me first start that I'm going to again disclose that I'm on the board of directors of Kingdom Causes, Bellflower. I am a volunteer. I know that Kingdom Causes is a recipient of some of the funding. I receive no financial gain, no income from the entity, so I will continue participating in this item. Again, want to thank my colleagues. I know we've had something on in past agendas to get some more of the CDBG CV money back out there, and we were able to look at some social services related programs, so that's a great opportunity. But my question again, maybe just a reminder for everybody. Again, I know that the money for the CHODO is stacking up there. So if staff could just remind us on any, if there's any updates, and if there's, I'm trying to recall the deadline again for use of that fund.
Councilmember Hamada, this is Jim Della Longa. To answer your question, we have about 5 years to pay that back, and Agnesa, if she has that exact date handy, she can let me know. We have 5-year expenditure limit on that, so we can get that paid off. We're well within the guidelines to getting that money spent, and we are building up that pot of money to spend on the permanent supportive housing project that we're working on with High Cube Housing LLC near the riverbed area.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hamada. Anyone else have any questions of staff on this report? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. De La Longa, just a couple of clarifications here. On the page 3 of the staff report, it mentioned about the CARES Act eliminating the 15% cap on amount of grant funds that can be used for public service activities. Is that a permanent change or is just because of the CARES Act?
That is only to do with the CARES Act CV, so the coronavirus funds that we received and were recently reprogrammed by City Council a couple meetings ago.
Okay, all right, very good. Thanks for the clarification. And the next question I have is on, just following up on the question from Councilmember Hamada. In the past, we kind of floated the idea of acquiring and converting one of those motels. Is that still on the table, or are we putting all the eggs in one basket at this point?
That might not have been something that we really looked at for these funds at this time. It may have been other funds. But I think that's something that can be on the table should the permanent supportive housing project not pan out.
Yeah, because I think I like that idea also because we're gonna solve two problems at the same time. You know, that's where my take on that. If we can do some kind of conversion.
And there may be other funds out there for those types of projects as well.
Okay. And when does the 5-year time clock start ticking?
It varies actually from year to year. So it's going to go back. We'll have a certain amount of money that will have to be spent by certain amounts of time. And it goes in chunks because it's a moving timeline based on when you add that money in. So we can get that information for you and let you know that. I'll put that in the weekly because I don't have that right in front of me.
Okay, so it's kind of a rolling 5 years. Whenever we receive the money, it starts 5 years from that point on.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. If you can give us a report like what you said, I think that's going to be very helpful.
Sure.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Santa Ynez. Anyone else have any questions? Mr. Victor Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, quick question, actually a follow-up question to my colleague here. When you, Councilmember Santa Ynez, when you mentioned the acquisition of a motel, hotel, would this be for supportive housing, or low-income housing, or I'm just...
It's not been defined yet. It's not been defined yet. It's more of just basically provide housing.
It's an open concept.
Right, exactly.
Transitional housing.
Transitional housing.
Yeah,
Okay, I
so
must...
it wasn't specific at
No,
that point.
very good, very good. I'm supportive of that
Yeah,
conversation.
because my point there is kind of a dual purpose.
Very good.
We're eliminating blight at the same time provide housing.
Absolutely,
So-
absolutely. Okay, well, I'm supportive of that concept. Mr. Mayor, regarding the report, I just really want to compliment the Volunteer Center and the work that it's doing in our community, as well as, housing 12 different folks may seem like a low number, but it's still housing 12 different individuals, so good job to KCB as well. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Just want to compliment the Volunteer Center. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sanchez. So let's open the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Sonny Santa Ynez, supported by Councilmember Victor Sanchez. Without objection, that'll be the order. So, Madam City Clerk, is there anyone that would like to question or participate in the public hearing?
Mayor, I'll give the public a moment to utilize the feature. Mayor, I'm not seeing any raised hands at this time.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All
Oh,
right.
sorry.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Sonny Santa Ynez, supported by Councilmember Victor Sanchez to close the public hearing. Without objection, that'll be the order. So gentlemen, what is your pleasure on this item?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 21-52.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion given by Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton, supported by Councilmember Raymond Hamada. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Santa Ynez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamada,
All right.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
Mayor Coops.
Aye. 11B, Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration of possible action to conduct a public hearing regarding ordinance number 1408, an ordinance amending various sections of the Bellflower Municipal Code, Title 17, and adding a new chapter pertaining to outdoor dining Ms. Corpus has a staff report, or will introduce somebody to do this such for us.
Good evening, Council. Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes.
Can you make it
Okay,
larger?
Can you make it
Can you make it a
larger?
little larger?
My eyes are not that.
Yeah, we can't see it. We can't read
No?
it, I guess. We can see it, we just
Okay.
can't read it.
Give me
Let's
one
make the print
sec.
bigger.
Oops, wrong one.
Oh, that helps.
Okay, how about that?
Tell us more because I think you're showing 2 slides. There you go.
Yeah.
Much better.
That work?
Yep.
Yeah. Now it's
Okay, perfect. Okay. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. The item before you is a zone ordinance text amendment related to outdoor dining. Some background behind the project. In June and August of 2020, the Business Recovery Program was established. The BRP was in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and was intended to temporarily accelerate city approvals and promote local businesses. The BRP established temporary regulations to allow for outdoor dining and retail sales within the public right-of-way and also on private property. The ordinance included a sunset clause for the BRP, which expired on July 1st, 2021. Prior to the BRP, the BMC allowed outdoor dining within the public right-of-way only within the town center district. Outdoor dining within the right-of-way in other zones was not allowed. During the effectiveness of the Business Recovery Program, several restaurants implemented dining on the public sidewalk and on private property. Outdoor dining creates an inviting atmosphere along commercial corridors and provides more flexibility with seating and waiting areas for restaurants. There's a desire to continue outdoor dining within the right-of-way and on private property. The draft ordinance before you codifies several provisions of outdoor dining that are in the BRP. Other temporary events, such as retail sales, would be required to comply with the TUP requirements. Although there are existing outdoor dining regulations already in the BMP, they are inconsistent with one another. The draft ordinance repeals and amends existing outdoor dining regulations and includes a new chapter for outdoor dining that is consistent across all zones. Just to highlight a few of the changes in the ordinance, BMC 1744 will be amended and to remove the existing requirements for the outside consumption of food. Again, we're removing this section and adding a new section so that the new outdoor dining provisions take place. The CG zone, BMC 1744 will be amended to have accurate department and director titles. Currently in the BMC, it references the Community Development Department, and we are now considered the Planning Department. Another change replaces the Planning Commission with the Planning Agency. The City Council is the Planning Agency or can designate the Planning Commission to be the Planning Agency. In most cases, the Planning Commission is the Planning Agency. And also general cleanup of this section is proposed. In the TC district, BMC 1748, there is a separate outdoor dining section. This section will be repealed. And chapter 1774, which will be the new outdoor dining chapter, will be added. To highlight a few of the requirements for an outdoor dining permit, it requires that ADA, an accessible path of travel, is provided and complied with. Permits cannot be issued for outdoor dining in the street or alley. Tables, chairs, furnishings must be of substantial materials. The area must be maintained clean and safe. And Additional requirements related to outdoor dining are provided in the staff report. I just wanted to highlight a few. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on July 19th, 2021. They continued the public hearing for staff to address their concerns. Their concerns were related to circulation and access, cleanliness and maintenance of the sidewalks, compliance with state, county, and local health standards, the safety of patrons and the public from vehicular traffic, and they wanted to include a revocation for non-compliance section within the ordinance. And on August 16th, 2021, the ordinance was brought back to the Planning Commission for review, and the Planning Commission ultimately adopted Resolution PC 21-05, recommending the City Council adopt the proposed ordinance. Since the Commission adopted Resolution number PC 21-05, staff made additional non-substantive changes to the draft ordinance. I'll add that the meat and potatoes of the ordinance are still there, but changes were made related to making the ordinance more clear and concise. And those changes are included in the ordinance before you. The recommendation this evening is to open the public hearing, take testimonial and documentary evidence, and after considering the evidence, introduce ordinance number 14-08, or alternatively discuss and take other action related to this item. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Corpus. Any questions of staff? Pretty straightforward, Mr. San Ynez.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Ms. Corpus, just kind of clarification. You mentioned about the existing ordinance only is applicable to the town center district?
Yes, that's correct. Sorry, so the current BMC
Right.
only allows for outdoor dining in the right-of-way in the town center district. All
So-
other zones are allowed to have outdoor dining, but only on private property.
So with this allowing us businesses anywhere in the city, as long as it's on the sidewalk?
It would allow for outdoor dining within the sidewalk in all zones or on public, or I'm sorry, or on private property.
Anywhere in the city?
That's correct, across all zones, yes.
Okay, all right. And then you also, in the staff report also, it mentioned about the city may charge a rental fee for use of public places. So what do you have in mind by that statement?
Well, there are different areas that could have outdoor dining. I'll throw it out. For example, there is the Town Center Plaza. So if somebody wanted to use the plaza for outdoor dining, we could establish a fee to charge them for the use of that plaza or the public plaza.
Okay. So you will have some kind of a fee schedule?
There currently in the fee schedule, there are some fees for the use of public places.
Oh, okay.
So
I see.
yes, so we already kind of have a standard that would be applicable to certain places. We could definitely establish fees for all of the public areas or for all public places.
Okay, this is a question of our city attorney. Would be more appropriate to have a license or a rental agreement in this case?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This actually acts like a license or other type of a rental agreement. It's substantially similar to like an encroachment permit.
Mm-hmm.
It simply delegates authority from the city council to the director of planning to issue these types of permits and collect the fee in return, which is essentially rent for a public place.
Oh, I see.
So it will have the same types of terms and conditions that we would ordinarily put into a license agreement or a rental agreement. The only difference being that this is in a permit form as opposed to another type of agreement that would be ordinarily approved by the city council.
Okay, good. And then finally, tell us about on the liability issue. How do we protect the city?
Each one of the permit forms has a standard hold harmless provision in it, and we also require at least $1 million in liability coverage through insurance being provided by the permittee.
Okay, very good. All right, very good. Thank you so much. That's all Mr.
All right.
Mayor.
Any other questions of staff?
Yeah, I think I have one that's kind of like, probably might be asking the same thing that Sonny did in a different way. The Municipal Code 17.74, that's replacing the whole town center outdoor dining ordinance.
Yes, that is correct.
So the citywide ordinance replaces everything in the town center, and the town center doesn't have its standalone ordinance no more on that chapter.
Correct.
Got it. And one thing I can think of as an example, you said town center. I know on occasions in the past, Laurel Street was blocked off by the restaurants that both used it. So is that one application that a fee could be charged for if the city blocked it off for some kind of use? Laurel Street, if you don't know, that's where Johnny Rebs is, or was.
Yes, this ordinance would allow us
Got it.
to charge that
Okay,
fee.
that was it. Thank you.
Mr. Amata?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Beth, so this new ordinance will cover really only existing sidewalk area. We're not going to be looking at creating these expanded pop-outs. They fabricate them and place them in the street, again along the gutter. They actually, some some are designed to allow gutter flow and so on, but that's not the intention here.
Correct. That is not the intent. And there is a specific regulation that would not allow the use of the street or an alley for outdoor dining.
I saw that, so I just wanted to point that out. Again, overall, I think it's comprehensive, and I think it's keeping something that's a great opportunity for the restaurants, and hopefully things will work out here in the future here. Just maybe potential clerical. Some of the language of the ordinance makes reference to outside food area, and then when I'm trying to, I always look at definitions, and then so it says outdoor dining area. So those are the same things.
They are different. So yeah, so there are two sections that you're probably referring to.
Yeah, the minor and the major.
Yes. So if I can explain, currently in the code, there is a section that's titled Limited Outside Preparation, Sale, and Consumption of Food. And that's in the CG zone. Essentially, you're able to prepare food, sell food, and eat food within the CG zone on private property. This section is being revised to take out the consumption of food because we're establishing a new chapter. And then the new chapter, which is chapter 17.74, this would be the outdoor dining area. This is specifically the area where the tables and chairs are set up and the dining takes place.
All right. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Amata. Mr. Sanchez?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any questions at this time. I would have a comment that, I understand that at this point in time it's an outdoor dining ordinance or for citywide. I guess I would have wished to have explored the idea of parklets to be included in this ordinance, but at this time I don't see that available, and I see that we've got on page 3, section A, completely eliminating that opportunity. So I just wanted to echo those comments at this time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. So let's open the public hearing. Do I have a motion to do so?
Yes, move to open the public hearing.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilman Hamada, supported by Councilman Sunny San Ynez. Without objection, that'll be the order. Madam City Clerk, is there anyone willing to give testimony?
Mayor, I have a raised hand for Marlene Wilkinson. Miss Wilkinson, if you would allow me to get the timer up on the screen, you can begin. Give me one moment, please. Okay. Miss Wilkinson, you may begin.
My apologies. Thank you. Thank you, and good evening, council members. In the report, it was stated that part of the permit would require, if I understood correctly, that the right-of-way would be ADA appropriate. So does that mean that based on the tablings and the passageway, are these sidewalks going to be extended? Because there have been occasions where I've been walking through the sidewalk and the number of people that are staggered, if you will, does not allow for ADA appropriateness as far as whether it's a wheelchair or crutches or anything. Although it's a great idea and I totally am for it simply because it does open up for things. But I would just caution that we do need to be aware that although the intent is there, we need to make sure that our senior community members as well as our disabled community members are also taken into account, because the walkway is a certain limit, yet when we're adding tables and additional bodies, that diminishes the number of space in between a walkway and sitting area. So thank you very much for letting me speak, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for your testimony. So Elizabeth, if no one will be given a permit in the outdoor area if they can't adhere to the Disabilities Act provisions, is that correct?
That's correct. ADA and an accessible path of travel is required. And in the event that we issue a permit and the permittee violates that, there is a revocation clause included in the ordinance.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just add to that, because I have an actual experience, one of our restaurants here set up tables on the sidewalk, and I received a complaint from a resident, and she was complaining about the sidewalk not being ADA compliant. And so I walk up the restaurant during the day, and I measured, and it's compliant. And then one evening after city council meeting, I passed by the restaurant again and observed that it wasn't compliant, because what happened was when it was set up, for only 4 chairs facing each other, 2 and 2. And then sometimes there is a 5th chair when there's an extra guest, which actually blocks now the path of way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think I addressed that with staff, and it was corrected. So I can see the point of Ms. Wilkerson about this issue.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, has there anybody else like to give testimony?
Mayor, I'm seeing no further raised hands at this time.
Thank you very much. So I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, so the motion given by Councilmember Sunny San Ynez, supported by Councilmember Hamada.
Yes.
Without objection, that'll be the order. So I'm looking for a motion on this item.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for the City Council of Bellflower to adopt ordinance number 1408, an ordinance amending various sections of the Bellflower Municipal Code, BMC Title 17, zoning, and adding Chapter 17.74 pertaining to outdoor dining.
And
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if I could ask the motion maker, this is an introduction and waiver of first reading.
Oh.
Adoption would occur at the next meeting.
Oh, I made a motion to introduce the ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
and waive further reading?
And waive further reading.
All right, any support for that motion?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Sunny San Ynez, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dunton. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Santinas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
Mayor Coops.
Aye. All right, no ordinances, resolution, or consideration. There, number 12, there are none. Consideration item 13, none. Consent calendar 14A through 14M. Does anyone have any conflicts or any of the evening's consent calendar items? And are there any items the council members wish to pull for separate discussion or
Mr. Mayor,
consideration?
before we do that, I mean, just like last meeting, I forgot to mention that there was some formal communication, public communication by Mr. Ken Letourneau
Yes,
that was sent to the council, and I just want to acknowledge it, make sure it's included in the agenda before we.
we've all received the letter
Yeah,
and we're able to read it.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Anybody want to pull any item for discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to pull 14L just for a couple questions.
Okay, 14L for Mr. Amata. I will be conflicted out of 14M because I have property near Sims Park, so I won't be participating in that one. I'm conflicted out. Anybody else have anything besides Mr. Amata's 14L they'd like to bring forward? Oh, all right, we're doing well. 14L, who wants to take that question?
Oh.
Or provide the question, we'll get the right person to answer.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, thank you, staff. This is one of the programs that will be implemented per our prior action here this evening. I know there was talk of trying to get some interest from some more of the shopping or the markets, and I see that Superior and Aldi have supported it. So that third one didn't come through. I assume Jim will reply.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you, Councilmember Hamada. The third, we tried all the major markets in Bellflower, and we got positive responses from Aldi and Superior, and we're working through some final things with Aldi, and we'll hopefully have an update for you on Aldi as we go forward this week.
Yes, thank you. Jim, the application gives someone who's homeless an opportunity. Just looking through it, and again, thank you for moving on this. So if someone's identified as homeless, is an address going to be required?
That's a really good question. I don't think we will. We'll check with our consultant and we want to make sure we're documenting this so we don't get in trouble with HUD and when it comes to audit time. But if somebody does identify as homeless, I would assume that we could go without an address. They might have other means of contact, but the fact that they are homeless typically means by default they meet the income requirements for this. So we will work through that. It's a good question. I'll make a note of it.
All right, thank you, Jim. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Amata. Jim, while I have you, is Aldi's business in Bellflower doing well?
As far as I know, they're doing well. They're struggling for labor, as many other various industries are right now. Getting people to come in and work is a tough thing. They're short on people, but overall, they're doing well. They're excited about the traffic signal going in at Harvard, and they keep calling about the sign on Alondra and Bellflower that we're still working on. We're working through some Edison issues with that now to get power to our sign, and then we'll be able to go out to bid soon. So we're getting there on that, but they seem to be doing well.
Okay. I've been looking at some of the reports on Aldi Corporation, wondering how they were faring. All right, council reports. Councilmember Santianez.
Do an action?
What's that?
No, we need to approve the consent
Oh, excuse me,
calendar.
I didn't get the approval. I was so excited.
Yeah,
All right.
we all are.
Yeah. I'm looking for a motion for the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Sonny Santianez, supported by Councilmember Raymond Hamada. On the consent calendar, please poll the council.
Councilmember Santinas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamada,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
Mayor Coops.
Aye. All right, now it's your turn. Councilmember Santianez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a reminder to our residents to please vote. We still have one more day to vote tomorrow. It's very important whether you vote yes or no. on the ballot, on the ballot, please vote. I have my sticker. I voted today. Also, in terms of the workforce development, the City of Paramount, which is a new member of the Southeast Los Angeles County Workforce Development Board, had a job fair last week or 2 weeks ago on the 31st, and it was well attended. Over 60 employers were out there, including the sheriff and LAPD and Wingstop and other companies. So it was a very successful event. Also, last week I was very honored to attend a conference sponsored by the California Workforce Association, and it was my first time to attend this conference, and I was voluntold to be in the panel, quite surprisingly. But let me just share this with you that we are very fortunate about the setup of our workforce development in this area of Los Angeles County. The Celaco workforce development is composed of the cities of Artesia, Bellflower, Cerritos, Downey, Hawaiian Gardens, Lakewood, Norwalk, and Paramount. And talking with a lot of the people in the conference, they cannot find any other organization that is set up the way we are, which is a joint powers among cities. Usually it's the county, or usually there's an administrative city, but ours is very unique, and ours have been very successful in that regard because it is basically run by the cities in our area. So I'm very proud of the work that Celaco Web is doing in our area to support employment and our employers. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much.
Always great to hear your report. All right, second, Mayor Pro Tem Ray Dutton.
Short and sweet. I don't have anything to share tonight, Dan.
Well, that's a disappointment.
I know. Gave it all up in closed session.
All right, yes, didn't we all? Council Member Raymond Hamada.
Mine will be a little longer. No,
That's fine.
I'm
You're
just
going to do the adjournment for
yeah, that's what I
California
missed. I
legislator.
got a second, but yeah, just quickly on some of the events and meetings that I again did attend from the last council meeting. Look, Councilman Sanchez and I both participated in the homeless shelter subcommittee meeting back on August 24th, and so we were able to hear from the sheriff's department on what they were doing, and also we had a chat about some of the data research on serving Bellflower Connected, homeless. So there's some information that'll be forthcoming. So as mentioned during one of the announcements earlier, on the 31st, went to the Chamber Morning Mingle, and again, those are very well attended, and so it's great to see the business people out there and the members of the public. So again, just continue. It's every month, the last Tuesday of the month. So on the 2nd of this month, I was able to participate in the SCAG Regional Council and the Transportation Committee meetings, and we did hear a presentation from the founder, president of that's Esri, who does the Geographic Information System, GIS, also known as. He's been working with SCAG, and they're going to be advancing some of the program to all the cities. So hopefully Bellflower can utilize some of that. Then we also heard about the broadband action plan, and some information that I was able to pass on to staff, and again, something hopefully there's maybe fill in some of the holes and so on. And Councilman Sanchez and I also on the 10th we went on the tour of the New Hope. In this case, we also had staff from the county, with Supervisor Hahn's office. We had a staff from Congresswoman Sanchez's office, had staff from the assemblyperson, Garcia, and a staff member from the state senator. So it was very educational to them. So we took it as very positive. I think they were very pleased on, again, how the shelter's been running. And it was almost, yeah, pretty much full, 44, I think, they said. So hopefully there's be some future dialogue with the other agencies on how they can we can better the shelter, and hopefully there's some funding that goes with it. So
Did they comment on how well it looks in there?
oh yes, the whole big picture, the big picture thing, yeah, how well it's run, the facility itself, how clean it is, the services inside. Everybody was calm and comfortable, so it was good, and I think the others definitely saw value in the example that again, if things like this are running also out there, then hopefully get some better movement on again serving the homeless. So I wanted to my second part was to honor Betty Carnett. Betty Carnett, a former California legislator, passed away on September 8th, let's see, 2021, at the age of 89, just a matter of days before 90. Betty was born in Paducah, Kentucky, but moved around the country with her husband Dick, again before settling in Long Beach, where the couple and their daughter Mary lived for about 50 years. She was a middle school teacher in Southgate before entering politics in the early 1990s when she was elected to the California Assembly in 1992. She was then, after that term, she was elected to the California State Senate and served until she was termed out in 2004. And that's where Betty covered Bellflower. And so I remember her. And then she finished her political career with another stint in the Assembly from 2004 to 2008. In the competitive world of politics, Betty was unique and was more interested in helping others and being kind. Betty was preceded by death by her husband and is survived by her daughter and niece. So, let's see, our deepest sympathies and heartfelt condolences go out to the entire Carnett family. Betty was a friend. She was a fellow Kiwanian. She was an advisor. She was a genuine public servant. And I think one of the fondest memories I have with Betty was I was at an event and we secretly did it for her. It was at Tranny's, Phil Tranny's down in Long Beach. And, Tranny's has that famous, wall of fame. And, big sports celebrities, politicians, you name it, they're on it. Because whenever they went to Tranny's, they signed the wall. Well, we got Phil to let Betty sign it. And it was probably the biggest smile Betty ever had when I saw. She was just all bright, and she was loving it, and she was signing something, and she signed her name, and now she's part of that, Hall of Fame, so to speak, and Betty is that type. So again, we're gonna miss her, and I know that she definitely served and mentored a lot of the current and past Long Beach, officials. So again, we've been blessed to have known and again work with Betty. So with that, Mr. Mayor, thank you. And
All right, thanks, Mr. Hamada. Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item for tonight, I'd like to just say what a wonderful event it was on September 11th, and it was well attended by colleagues Saninez and Hamada as well. And I know you sent this on your behalf, and we were able to represent well. It was a beautiful event, well spoken, and it was an honor of 9/11, and it was just a good event to be at and attend. Secondly, I'd like to this evening report out of official travel that I did on behalf of my educational goals as a newly elected. As many of you know, being elected during the COVID pandemic, a lot of educational opportunities have been missed in the first year of being an elected officer. So I was able to attend ICA the weekend of August 26th through the 28th, and I was able to attend sessions such as social media for cities, how to protect local control when Sacramento isn't listening, electric vehicle charging infrastructure opportunities, and then have key conversations with our county supervisor one-on-one, Miss Supervisor Janice Hahn. I was able to talk to her directly and have a good conversation about our efforts with the New Hope Shelter and future efforts to address the homeless challenges that we face here in the city of Bellflower. I also attended other sessions such as resetting the economy in a shifting world, and also other sessions such as the PPP, how to not do it. And that's just a few of the sessions that I attended in my travels on official duty. So I just wanted to report that out. I think it was a very informative, very educational, and good opportunity to network with other electeds from other cities who are facing similar challenges as us, and just trying to creatively think and see what they're doing in their cities as well. So that concludes my comments and my report this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have no comments. I'm like Mr. Dutton. I think we've said it all tonight. So we're going to adjourn this meeting in memory of Betty Carnett, as presented by Councilmember Hamada. And our next regular meeting of the Bellflower City Council will be held 5:30 p.m. on Monday, September 27th, 2021. We're adjourned.